a mini playoff. If you can get me to 8 games or maybe even 4 games and still have the bowls in place and incorporate the bowls, that's the best of both worlds. But if you were to give me one or the other, just a straight 16 or 32 team playoff and no bowl games whatsoever, I think you survey most guys and most players playing, they're going to want that reward. That is your reward for playing college football. My sister-in-law's husband has a 15-year-old Sun Bowl bag still. He carries it with him, and we all remember the gifts, and it's Christmas, and it is your payoff for the winter drills and spring ball and two-a-days and academics and everything that you do. It is your opportunity to be rewarded for that, and I don't think people grasp that enough from the outside. You see it played on one day. You don't realize the 7 to 10 days the players get there to enjoy their teammates, their friends, the university, the families, the event. And, yeah, I do think there's a bit of a misperception. It really the reward that the bowls are for the players.
You know, that's interesting because I wonder if you think Boise State players, would feel that way, or TCU or somebody like that? Because I would agree with you. On the majority, I could see that. But do you think there'd be certain programs? I find it just unfair that somehow you could win all your games. You're in the big boy division.
Sure.
And still not get,
now there are a couple teams that can make that case. I don't think Boise's going to have to make that case this year. I think if they run the table, they're going to be in the national title game. TCU, they may have a difficulty leapfrogging a Boise or somebody else. So there are a couple of those teams. But by and large, the other 122 know that, hey, if we win and we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to get taken care of. So there are those cases, sure. Did Auburn do it a number of years ago where they went undefeated and they didn't get to the BCS title game? Yeah, it's not a perfect system, and I'm not sitting here to say this is the only way. As I said, I think if you can do the bowls in a very short mini playoff, that'd be the best. But right now, they just can't find a way to do that.
Now, we're taking a small sample size, and I know you went to the University of Washington, went to Puyallup High School.
Very well done.
Doing the loop. Well,
yeah.
I have family up in Olympia, so they
Very
always
good.
we get the foreigners, and we go, say that word up there. Yeah, Puyallup. So I've done the loop a few times. But what do you think, just taking from Pete Carroll? It's only been one game, but do you think granted, he has coached in the NFL before, but do you think a more rah-rah college environment can work in the NFL?
Again, I think there's some misperception there. Being out at training camp, and we do our radio show there up on ESPN Radio.
Not a lot of rah-rah?
From camp, there is some. No, I'm not saying that's totally misguided. There is some of that energy and that bounce, and that's what's replayed and what's seen. What's not shown are all of the hours behind the scenes. They didn't do Hard Knocks Seattle Seahawks style, and I don't know if they ever will, if people do that or not, because behind the scenes, the guy is very businesslike, very orderly, very disciplined. Their meetings, a number of the veterans, Matt Hasselbeck, a good friend of mine that I played with, and I think there's only 6 Seahawks left from their 2005 Super Bowl team. He's one of them, and he's just been blown away. He said, I can't believe how good a communicator he is, and the way he can communicate with these young kids right out of college and the veterans alike, because he comes with 17 years, I believe, of NFL experience. He's hired a staff of a lot of NFL guys. Jerry Gray is secondary coach, and so he's got people there that understand the pro game as well. Pete understands it. He gets it. Buddies with Monty Kiffin for all of these years. So his ability to communicate, I think, is what's underappreciated. Everyone sees the bounce and the raw and the pumped and I'm jacked and the energy, but they don't see the other side, which is a really good communicator, a really good teacher to not only his coaches but the veteran players alike.
Speaking on college football, Reggie Bush just gave back the Heisman. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, that's remarkable.
Yeah.
We don't know the inside story when that came out last week, right? And there was talk of the Heisman Committee pulling it back, and did they talk to it? We don't know all of the facts and everything surrounding that, but that's pretty remarkable. And if Reggie, and if it was all his intention and his way to say I'm sorry and I really messed this thing up, and to be the only one in the history of that award to go out on his own volition and do that, well, he's trying, I think, to make a statement, a pretty strong statement of what poor choices can lead to, and the poor choices he made while he was at USC. So very commendable if there was no impetus behind him. Right. And I don't think we'll ever know all of that. What we do know is he did it, and you got to at least give him credit for making that statement.
I guess we're jumping around with Brock Huard just about everything college football and even some pro football. What do you think of a team? Last question. I know you played, Pac-10 and everything. How do you think Utah will do with them coming into the Pac-10, I believe, next year?
I think they're going to do a lot better than Colorado did. I think that's been evidenced by Cal thrashing Colorado the way they did, and Utah, again, handling a Pitt team out of the Big East. It was a good team. Whittingham's done a very nice job there. They're very physical. They've got a recruiting center there in Salt Lake City. He's done a nice job of getting into California, and that's the whole key. 85 scholarships is such a limited number. It's created the parity that I think a lot of us have enjoyed in college football, to see a Boise and a TCU and a Utah and the teams compete because of that 85 scholarship limit. He knows what he's doing. His staff knows how to recruit. They know how to go get. I think it will open further doors going into what will be the Pac-12. So I wouldn't anticipate them having a drastic challenge or having to reinvent what they're doing. What they're doing's had some success, and I think will continue to have success in the Pac-12.
Well, we thank you much for coming on out here. Maaco Bowl, of course, coming up December 22nd. Hey, I'm there every year, and I must admit it's a blast. So thanks for coming on out.
I hope I can be there this year.